The heads of GC Strategies have ignored 2 summons to appear before Parliament. Now the Conservatives are looking to send the sergeant in arms to go get them. And the only one standing between them is this guy. Now, before we get into this video, I want to talk about the fact that, look, they're still trying to borrow more money. This is, of course, coming from Blacklock's reporter, shared by Nya on Twitter, or X, if you call it that. These days, I'll never get used to that. But, of course, this was them reporting that the finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, by cabinet order, has granted herself authority to increase the federal borrowing this fiscal year to a record $517 billion. That used to be the total amount that we ever owed. Now it's how much we borrow per year. The figure is $73 billion higher than estimated the year ending of March 31st. You're simply saying, give me a blank check and then trust me. Now let's get into this story about GC Strategies. This is really embarrassing for the federal government, even the mainstream media. Newsbot, I guess, I don't know, this robot of a woman is talking about this.
Good morning, Jeremy. How damaging is this to the Trudeau government as they try to manage a consistent message on the Israel-Hamas war and the crisis in Gaza?
I guess the coin ran out. Wow, that's some reporting they have over at CTV. Anyway, let's get into the story. Conservatives ready to force heads of GC Strategies to answer questions on ArriveCan. If they ignore this summons, there will be consequences, says the Conservative House leader Andrew Scheer, warned after 2 previous summons were ignored. They're trying to get to the bottom of this whole thing, and it looks like over $60 million were spent on an app to basically round people up at the border and send them into quarantine camps. And now we're finding out that there was a lot of people that were falsely sent because of glitches in the app, and well, they didn't really want to check in on it, but we're going to get to that point there in a bit. Now these guys, it looks like only 2 of them are responsible for it now. Back in 2018, look at this is obj.ca, Ottawa Business Journal, boasting about how great these guys were. GC Strategies ranks 4th on fastest growing companies list for 2018. Wow. Yeah, they sure grew fast. They sure did, they ever. But they might have to get some jumpsuits because it may be where they're going once all this stuff gets uncovered. Now, here's the conference. I have this sped up by 0.25%, just because it's very, very slow. So they move at the speed of government. They talk at the speed of government. So let's listen to what they had to say here.
Good morning. I'm here with my colleague Andrew Scheer as the Government Operations Committee is set to meet this afternoon, where Common Sense Conservatives will put forward a motion summoning the principals of GC Strategies to appear before the Government Operations Committee. Now, GC Strategies, of course, is the 2-person firm who worked on Justin Trudeau's $60 million Arrive scam scandal. But this app had this $20 million contract where this company did no actual IT work, and they have now twice refused to appear, having been summoned by committee. And the effect of today's motion will be to use the full power of the House of Commons to have these individuals appear before committee. It's incredibly important when we have this report from the Auditor General that revealed that this $60 million scandal with this app that wrongly imprisoned 10,000 Canadians, wrongly quarantined them, didn't have proper management oversight and no cost controls, and of course revealed that the app cost many millions more than the government had first disclosed. So
now I want to get into that because this is a bit of the conference. True North putting this one on Twitter. Heather Jeffrey, president of Public Health Agency of Canada, the FAC, I guess, PHAC is the acronym, is asked about the ArriveCan app. Had a total of 177 versions developed, which were not properly tested for accuracy, resulting in over 10,000 travelers being falsely flagged for quarantine. And they followed up on all of these, actually sending officers out to make sure that people were in quarantine. It really is ridiculous, but here's the clip.
The app went through 177 different versions, most of which weren't properly tested. You owned the app, so why weren't different versions of the app tested? Why did you not insist on proper testing of the app?
In their testimony that in order to increase the speed by which the versions would be deployed, that they were not all tested.
So you were aware at the time that they weren't being tested, and you were okay with that?
The governance around the project management at the time looked at how the apps were being deployed. And
sorry, I'm looking for clear. Ma'am, I have limited time, and I'm looking for clear answers to clear questions.
I'm going to turn to my colleague Luc Brisbois from the Border Services.
No. I want to hear from PHAC. Over 10,000 people were falsely sent into quarantine because this app was, in most cases, not properly tested. Are you comfortable with that? And did you brief the minister about the lack of testing?
So it's very regrettable. We're obviously not comfortable when people are erroneously advised. In this case, when they arrived in the country, they were given a green check mark, which means they are cleared for entry without isolation periods. There was then an error in the app that resulted in messages being sent out. The public health agency
I'm asking about the testing.
That is
Are
your
you
time,
comfortable with the lack of
Mr.
testing?
Jenners, that is your time.
They just call it. That's your time. You had your questions. They didn't get answered, but that was your time. Let's go further with this.
Today's motion is critical, and it's going to be a real test of the NDP Liberal coalition, because we're going to find out if the NDP are prepared to provide the accountability and answers that Canadians deserve in Justin Trudeau's latest scandal. And this is the minimum that they can do. We understand that they've been in the practice of helping Justin Trudeau cover up his scandals, but in this case, Canadians deserve answers and accountability, and that's what our motion is calling for today.
Exactly, and this is what was brought up later when Andrew Scheer was asked, because he did the French part. He came out and spoke French, but then he was asked later, what are you going to do if they don't go along with this? If the NDP vote with the Liberals, what happens then?
If the NDP decided to vote against your motion today?
We have seen the NDP at multiple occasions defend and protect Justin Trudeau, not just for policy outcomes, not just because it's part of some kind of a deal on policy outcomes or an NDP wish list, but to protect Justin Trudeau from being personally embarrassed by scandal and corruption. If the NDP vote against our motion this afternoon, it is crystal clear now that they're not actually interested in cleaning up Justin Trudeau's corruption and scandals, that they're not actually interested in a different approach, that they are interested in keeping Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister for as long as possible.
And twist of fate, I guess you would call it. The Liberals weren't actually doing this because of the pandemic. They were doing this because they used the pandemic as an excuse. Vesper, of course, putting this on Twitter, saying the Liberal Party, before Arrive scam, had long pushed a travel app for your benefit, of course, not for data collection or anything. March 2016, MP Omar Algebra, who used to be the travel minister, introduced it. Smart travel app. The pandemic was a perfect excuse to finally implement it. Here's the clip.
The honourable member for Mississauga Centre.
Mr. Speaker, with the upcoming travel season during March break, I would like to inform the House and Canadians about a great new tool. Last December, the government launched its new Travel Smart app. It's a one-stop shop for international travel information and advice. Travel Smart will provide Canadians with timely information on security conditions, health considerations, changing entry and exit requirements, passport validity, and wait times at border crossings. Most importantly, it provides emergency contact information for Canadian embassies and consulates and allows users to register so they can be reached in case of an emergency.
And we're going to track your every movement, and it's very intrusive, and there's probably malware in there as well. But this is the reality of the situation. They were planning this since way back then. They implemented it under the guise of a pandemic and saving you from yourself and from some bug that might be going around that we all we all got, and we all got over. Anyway, leave this one with you guys. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about all of this, spending this kind of crazy amount of money on a thing, and they're still doing it. We're talking about right now what they spent while they're still spending even more. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Keep on trucking.